The Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom sparkled with Manhattan's legal elite as I sat at the children's table, carefully cutting chicken nuggets for my young tablemates. The Tom Ford suit beneath my casual sweater cost more than the monthly billing of most law firms, but appearances were everything in this game. "Still where you belong, I see," my brother James smirked as he passed by. "Though I suppose someone needs to watch the children while the real lawyers talk." If he only knew that his prestigious cases at Morrison Legal were actually being bankrolled by my company, Nexus Law Group. The children's book author they mocked to build a $2.8 billion legal empire right under their noses. My phone buzzed discreetly. Acquisition paperwork complete. Nexus Law Group's takeover of Morrison Legal finalized. Announcement scheduled for 8:30 p.m. I glanced at the ornate clock, 7:45 p.m. In 45 minutes, my family would discover that their immature son who sat with children had just acquired their law firm in a $900 million deal. "Making paper airplanes with the kids again, Mark?" My sister Catherine's voice dripped with condescension. "At least try to act professional during Dad's 65th birthday." The irony was delicious. Those paper airplanes were actually complex merger documents I was reviewing while maintaining my cover. Every origami creation concealed another piece of my takeover strategy. Through the grand windows, I could see my father holding court at the main table, probably sharing another story about how his real children had carried on the Morrison legal legacy while his youngest had found his level, writing children's books. "Mr. Morrison," my chief legal officer approached, disguised as a party planner. "Everything is in position. The board members are all present, and the announcement is prepared." I nodded, checking my watch again. 8:15 p.m. Time to show them who's really been running the show. The ballroom buzzed with legal world elites. My father had insisted on having legal news displayed on massive screens throughout the evening, a decision that would soon prove deliciously ironic. "There's my creative son." My mother's voice carried just enough to draw attention. "Mark, darling, surely you can join the adults for your father's birthday toast?" "Of course, Mother," I replied, taking my assigned spot at the very edge of the group, the same position I'd occupied since refusing to join Morrison Legal's associate program. 8:25 p.m. The champagne was flowing as the MC called for attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, as requested by our host, please direct your attention to the screens for a special announcement." My father raised his glass, expecting to see his firm's latest rankings. Instead, the breaking news banner flashed across every screen. "Breaking! Nexus Law Group acquires Morrison Legal in $900 million deal. Legal empire reveals CEO identity. Wall Street stunned by Morrison takeover." The champagne glass froze halfway to my father's lips as his eyes locked onto the screens. In that moment, a decade of dismissal and condescension crystallized into dawning horror. I stood from the children's table, removing my casual sweater to reveal the impeccable suit beneath. "Dad," I said into the sudden silence, "I believe it's time we discuss a change in management." The ballroom fell into stunned silence as the screens continued to flash with headlines. "Mark Morrison, from children's author to legal titan. Nexus Law Group's mysterious founder steps in a spotlight. Morrison Legal Partnership shares soar 250% on acquisition news." "This has to be some mistake," James stammered, his gold cufflinks catching the light as his hands trembled. "Nexus Law Group is the firm that's been revolutionizing legal tech. They're the ones who funded your last 3 class action suits." I finished smoothly. "Yes, that was me. Every victory you bragged about at family dinners, bankrolled by my firm. Those legal algorithms you mocked as children's games when I try to show you, they now power the largest legal tech platform in the country." My security team, all disguised as event staff, moved into strategic positions around the room. The waiters and party planners transformed into executive protection, their earpieces now visible. For those just joining this revelation, I spoke into the microphone, my voice carrying the authority of someone who commanded billions. "I'm Mark Morrison, founder and CEO of Nexus Law Group. You might know us from our AI legal research platform, our revolutionary case management system, or perhaps from the fact that we now own Morrison Legal. Catherine's senior partner, husband, turned ghostly pale, suddenly realizing he'd been unknowingly using my technology while mocking my children's books at family gatherings. The stories you wrote. My father's voice cracked. All those times you were playing with narrative structures were actually case studies in legal precedent, I confirmed. Every children's book I published contained coded analyses of landmark cases. While you thought I was drawing pictures, I was building the most sophisticated legal empire in history. The screen's updated with more breaking news. Nexus Law Group reveals global reach. $2.8 billion empire built in secret. Wall Street scrambles as legal world's greatest mystery is solved. Mark Morrison, the billionaire who sat at the kids' table. My mother clutched her pearls, swaying slightly. But your little writing studio is actually the headquarters of Nexus Law Group's research division. I explained, enjoying the cascade of realizations crossing their faces. Every time you dismissed my cute little books, I was acquiring another law firm. Those children's stories you thought were so beneath you, each one funded another piece of my empire. James pushed forward, his usual arrogance replaced by desperate calculation. The new case management system, the breakthrough platform, is mine, I finished. Every innovation you praised in partner meetings came from my team. Though I should thank you, your constant condescension made it incredibly easy to operate unnoticed. My father found his voice again, though it trembled with barely contained rage. The legal community will never accept. They already have. I cut him off, nodding to my CFO, who had been posing as a children's entertainer. She distributed tablets, showing Nexus Law Group's complete market dominance. You see, Dad, while you were busy teaching James and Catherine how to run a real law firm, I was learning something far more valuable, how to build an empire from the ground up. Every time you seated me with children, I was making connections with the next generation of legal minds. Every time you dismissed my work as juvenile, I was revolutionizing the entire legal industry. The reporters who had come to cover a simple birthday party were now scrambling for positions, their cameras trained on the family drama unfolding before them. But why? My father struggled to form the question, his birthday cake untouched before him. Why reveal everything now? I picked up one of the children's origami creations from my table. Actually, a complex merger document folded into the shape of a crane. Because timing is everything in law, isn't it, Dad? That's what you always taught us. Well, that and know your place. Though I suppose I finally do know my place, at the head of the firm that just bought yours. The screens flashed with more updates. Nexus Law Group announces complete restructuring of Morrison Legal. Mark Morrison's net worth soars to $2.8 billion. Legal genius emerges from children's table to claim industry crown. Catherine, desperately trying to salvage something, stepped forward. Mark, about all those times we mocked your books. Save it for your performance review. I cut her off. Though I should warn you, Nexus Law Group has very strict policies about workplace behavior. No more relegating people based on your perception of their worth. My COO distributed leather portfolios to each family member. Inside, you'll find documentation of every case, every victory, and every settlement you've achieved using Nexus technology. I've been particularly detailed about the correlation between your mockery and my strategic acquisitions. You can't just take control, James protested weakly. Actually, I can and I will, I replied, producing another document. Nexus Law Group is implementing immediate changes to all Morrison legal operations. Your access to our legal platforms ends at midnight. Consider it my birthday gift to Dad, showing him exactly how much his real law firm relied on his childish son. The ballroom buzzed as the legal world's elite recalibrated their understanding of power. The son they'd banished to the children's table had just revealed himself as the architect of their success. You know what's fascinating? I addressed the room, gathering the origami documents. Every time you seated me with children, you freely discussed sensitive cases. Every time you dismissed me as immature, I was learning exactly how to revolutionize your industry. Every time you look down on the son writing children's books, you were actually dealing with the future of legal technology. My mother attempted one last intervention. "Darling, surely we can discuss this as a family." "Oh, now you want to include me with the adults?" I smiled, gesturing to my former seat. Funny how that works when you discover your embarrassment of a son controls the technology that powers your entire legal practice. Standing at the podium, I surveyed the room. Let me be clear. Nexus Law Group will be implementing immediate changes. First, the firm culture. No more hierarchical seating arrangements. Second, the leadership. Those who judge books by their covers will find themselves with significantly reduced roles. My security team began escorting my family from their seats of honor. As they stood, stunned and diminished, I called out, "Oh, and Dad? Happy birthday. Don't worry about cutting the cake. I'm having it served at the children's table first. After all, that's where the real future of your firm has been sitting all along." The headlines would run for months, but nothing could match the satisfaction of that moment, when the son they made sit with children revealed himself as the one controlling their legal destiny. Walking toward my new office in Nexus headquarters, I paused for one final remark. "By the way, those childish stories you mocked, they've been cited in Supreme Court decisions. Not bad for someone you thought only belonged at the kids' table." Sometimes revenge isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about controlling the entire legal system they thought you weren't mature enough to understand. The morning after my father's birthday revelation, I sat in my true office, the top floor of Nexus Law Group's headquarters, watching as our logo replaced the Morrison Legal signage across Manhattan's legal district. The wall behind my desk displayed my published children's books, each one a cleverly disguised legal treatise that had revolutionized different aspects of law. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing with headlines. Nexus Law Group begins massive legal industry restructuring. Mark Morrison's first moves as public CEO shake legal world. From children's stories to case law. The revolution no one saw coming. James burst into my office, clutching case files. "Our access to the legal research platform is gone. I have a Supreme Court brief due tomorrow." "Correction," I said calmly, reviewing global case analytics on my screens. "Your privileged access has been revoked. Remember last Christmas when you mocked my picture books while bragging about your winning streak? Those victories came from my algorithms. But the clients, the deadlines, will all need to be managed without Nexus technology." I smiled. "Consider it a lesson in humility, something our family desperately needs. By the way, those simple drawings you laughed at, they're actually visual representations of complex legal principles that are now copyrighted by Nexus." The screens in my office displayed live updates. Morrison Legal partners scramble as Nexus cuts access. Legal industry giants rush to secure Nexus partnerships. Mark Morrison announces new legal tech standards. Catherine stormed in next, her law review articles in hand. My entire research database is locked. The Bar Association is meeting today. Interesting timing. I mused, pulling up a children's book illustration that, when properly decoded, contained the very legal framework she needed. Amazing how quickly childish pictures become valuable when they're the key to your professional survival. My mother arrived, social calendar in chaos. The legal charity board will now meet in my children's reading room. I cut in. Though I hear the young readers there understand complex legal principles better than some of our senior partners. The operations center below, where I'd spent countless nights coding legal algorithms while supposedly drawing storybooks, now pulsed with activity as Nexus Law Group's empire expanded by the hour. "Your stories," my mother whispered, finally examining one of my books closely. "The patterns and the illustrations are actually detailed legal frameworks," I confirmed. "Every character represents a legal principle. Every plot line a precedent-setting case. While you were mocking my childish work, I was literally rewriting the law." My father was last, escorted in by security. He looked older somehow, without his firm's reputation to stand on. "The Bar Association," he began, "is currently reviewing how my children's books have advanced legal education more than your traditional methods." I interrupted. Every case law, every precedent, every legal innovation you claimed as Morrison Legal's contribution, all came from the son you seated with children. I pulled up Nexus Law Group's global impact metrics on the screens. See these statistics? Each one represents a legal breakthrough achieved while you thought I was drawing bunnies. The same bunnies that now represent multi-million-dollar legal patents. You're destroying everything I built, he whispered. No, Dad. I'm showing you everything you failed to build. A firm that values innovation over tradition, creativity over conformity, and actual brilliance over perceived maturity. I turned to the window, watching as young law students gathered below, each holding copies of my children's books, now recognized as revolutionary legal texts in disguise. A gentle knock revealed Ms. Chun, my former elementary school librarian, who had been the first to recognize the complex patterns hidden in my stories. Mr. Morrison, she smiled, your latest book just became required reading at Harvard Law. Perfect timing, I replied, remembering all those afternoons when my family thought I was wasting time in the library. Send copies to every member of Morrison Legal. Make sure they start with the picture book section, since that's all they thought I was capable of creating. Just then, my phone buzzed with another headline. Supreme Court cites Morrison's Bunny and the Bench in landmark decision. Oh, and Ms. Chun, I called as she turned to leave. Send a special edition to my father's new office in a junior associate's bullpen. Let's see how he enjoys starting over from the children's table. The headlines would run for years, but nothing beat the satisfaction of knowing that every law student in the country would learn their most important legal principles from the childish books that my family had mocked.